From the moment the spotlights lit up the NARS 2026 stage, something was different. It wasn't just the glitz and glamour we're used to seeing at major events. It was an aura that seemed to stop time. When that step emerged from the shadows, the audience hadn't even realized they were witnessing a moment that would become a topic of conversation. And when that face finally came into view, the world held its breath. Xiao Zhan wasn't just present, he dominated. His elegant black suit perfectly framed his figure, and the deep V neckline was bold yet sophisticated. It wasn't overdone, not contrived, but just enough to create an impression that's hard to describe. It was as if every detail had been designed for one purpose: to leave anyone who saw him unable to look away. But what set that night apart wasn't his clothes or the stage lighting. It was his expression. Xiao Zhan's calm, deep, and slightly mysterious gaze created an unusual atmosphere. He didn't smile broadly, nor did he display any exaggerated emotion. It was precisely in that stillness that fans began to sense something more powerful, something that seemed to speak silently. The camera captured every angle of his face, the slightest movement, the blink of an eye, even the way he turned his head. It all felt so controlled yet natural. It was as if he wasn't just walking on stage, but playing a role only he fully understood. And the audience? They could only follow, drawn into a spell that slowly but surely captivated them. Social media began to vibrate even before the show was over. Short clips began circulating, screenshots went viral, and comments poured in endlessly. Many called his performance unreal, while others felt there was something deeper than just the visuals. There were unspoken emotions, a story seemingly hidden behind every movement. And this is where things began to take a turn. Among the thousands of comments flooding the internet, one name began to resurface, slowly, then increasingly: Wang Yibo. At first, it was just a small speculation, a mere assumption from a few fans who felt a familiar feel in Xiao Zhan's expression that night. But like a small flame in the wind, the speculation quickly grew. Some fans claimed that Xiao Zhan's gaze at certain moments reminded them of the past. Some said that the way he smiled faintly felt different, as if it had a meaning that only certain people could understand. And the more people rewatched the footage, the stronger the feeling that something was missing. Was this just a fan's imagination? Or was there something more? There was no confirmation, no official statement, but that's precisely the allure. When there are no definitive answers, every detail matters. Every moment is analyzed, every expression is dissected, and every possibility is thoughtfully considered by fans hungry for meaning. Some even began to connect this moment to previous events. Small pieces of the past were brought back to life, reassembled, and made part of a larger narrative. A story that may never truly end, merely lingering for a while. On the other hand, others chose to see it simply. To them, Xiao Zhan was simply a professional performing at his best at a major event. Everything he saw was the result of practice, experience, and dedication. Nothing more, nothing less. But even they couldn't deny that there was something different that night. A difference that was hard to explain. When the camera shifted to another angle, Xiao Zhan appeared to pause for a moment. It wasn't a long pause, just a split second. But it was enough to make many wonder. What was he thinking? What was he feeling? And why did such a small moment feel so meaningful? Some fans believed that moment was key. That there, amidst the crowd and the flashing lights, there was an emotion that couldn't be completely hidden. A feeling that may not have been intended for the public, but was inadvertently revealed. Wang Yibo's name was mentioned again, this time with greater intensity. Not just as speculation, but as part of a broader discussion. Did he see that performance? If so, what did he feel? Was there a reaction we don't know about? Question after question continued to emerge, but answers remained elusive. Interestingly, none of them offered any clarification. No denials, no confirmations. Just silence. And in the entertainment world, silence often speaks louder than words. Meanwhile, the video of Xiao Zhan's performance continues to rack up millions of views. With each replay, new details are discovered. Little things previously overlooked now take center stage. It's as if the night holds layers of meaning yet to be fully revealed. And perhaps that's what makes it so captivating. Not just the stunning visuals, but the mystery that accompanies it. The feeling that there's more to it than meets the eye. A story unfinished, a connection that hasn't quite been lost. Ultimately, whether all of this is real or merely fan interpretation may never be fully answered. But one thing is for sure, that night, Xiao Zhan managed to create a moment that was not only beautiful to watch, but also profound to feel. And amidst all the glitz and glamour, one question lingers in the air: was there someone out there, secretly, feeling the same way? And that's precisely where the power of that moment lies, in the things that were never said outright. The longer the audience tried to understand, the deeper they became immersed in the endless possibilities. It was as if each viewer brought their own interpretation, creating a different version of the story, yet connected by a common feeling, an unquenchable curiosity. Some fans began slowing down the video, noticing details barely visible to the naked eye. The way Xiao Zhan's fingers moved, the way his shoulders tensed and then relaxed, and the way his breath seemed to catch just before he took a step further on stage. It all felt too vivid to be mere coincidence. Meanwhile, the narrative surrounding Wang Yibo continued to evolve, no longer just wild speculation, but transformed into a kind of modern myth among fans. There was no concrete evidence, but no one could completely deny the possibility either. And in a world filled with collective imagination, sometimes mere possibility was enough to keep a story alive. Interestingly, some longtime fans reported feeling the same thrill as before. A feeling that had been lost had resurfaced in an unexpected way. They couldn't explain it logically, but their hearts seemed to recognize something familiar, something that had been there and perhaps still remained. Meanwhile, a newer generation of fans saw everything from a different perspective. For them, this was a mystery that had just begun, an emotional puzzle that had yet to be answered. They were drawn in, trying to understand the dynamics that existed before they even became part of this story. Amidst it all, Xiao Zhan remained silent. There were no additional gestures, no clarifications, no attempts to clarify or strengthen speculation. He let everything flow, as if aware that what was happening was no longer just about him, but about how the public perceived and interpreted his presence. That silence, once again, became the center of everything. In his silence, it created space for thousands, if not millions, of interpretations. And each interpretation, ultimately, extended the life of the moment far beyond its original duration on stage. Even after the show ended, its echoes did not subside. Discussions continued, new theories emerged, and small fragments of that night were endlessly analyzed. It was as if time wasn't truly moving forward, but rather revolving around the same point, the night when everything felt so different. And perhaps that's why this moment is so hard to forget. Because it doesn't provide answers, it leaves questions. And as long as the questions remain, as long as the curiosity remains, this story will never truly be finished.